He had everything: brains, certificates, and big dreams. But one night, a native doctor told him, 10 years of riches, then you will die. He said yes, but he never expected what came after. This is the story of a first-class graduate whose desperation for wealth became his greatest downfall. So my goal is to continue to bring you guys more high-quality videos every week without sacrificing quality, and it would mean the world to me if you subscribed so that the channel can keep growing, and I promise to bring you more fire content. I'm Brenny Folktales, and you are awesome. He was the pride of his family. The kind of pride that made mothers cry tears of joy and fathers boast to every neighbor. His name was Toby, a first-class graduate from one of the most respected universities in the country. Every certificate on the wall screamed promise. And he always thought of a bright future ahead, but things didn't go as planned. The graduation day was full of excitement. Toby's parents danced clumsily in their excitement. Friends hooted and snapped photos, each image a snapshot of success, a memory that promised an unshakable future. Toby himself wore a quiet smile, proud but nervous. He had dreams, big dreams. A career in finance, a stable life, respect in society. Everything seemed possible. But life had a cruel sense of timing. Weeks turned into months, and no job offers came. Every CV he sent went to the dustbin. Interviews ended with polite nods and "we'll be in touch." Sometimes, he didn't even get an email back. The bills began to pile. The father who once boasted about his son's brilliance now sighed, whispering to his wife about loans and expenses. Toby's stomach ached not just from hunger, but from shame. The world outside his small apartment was moving fast. Friends landed jobs, bought cars, traveled. Toby's Instagram was a parade of success he wasn't part of. Each post nodded him, a reminder that life was leaving him behind. Frustration burned like fire in his chest. Nights were the hardest. He would lie awake, staring at the cracked ceiling, imagining a life where doors didn't close before he could step through. One evening, as he was coming home after an interview, he ran into Johnny, an old school friend. Johnny looked different. Sharp suit, polished shoes, Benz parked like it belonged to the stars. Toby's stomach twisted with envy and curiosity. "Toby, long time, bro." Johnny clapped him on the shoulder, flashing a smile that hid something darker. "You still looking for work?" Toby hesitated, nodding. Johnny's eyes glinted. "Man, you know, there's another way to make quick money. You don't even need to go look for a job anymore." Toby laughed nervously. "I don't understand what you mean." Johnny leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Fraud. You know, the online hustle. Big returns. Small risk if you know the right people. If you're ready, just tell me. I'll take you to one native doctor, and you'll start to cash out." Toby's heart raced. Part of him recoiled. Part of him longed for it. Hunger and failure made strange companions. That night, he lay awake, the words, "big returns," echoing in his head. Could this be his way out? Could he finally prove everyone wrong? Days turned into a blur. He tried, failed, and tried again. Each failure stung more than the last. He began questioning himself. Was he cursed? Was the universe against him? Then he remembered his friend's words. "School is a scam. If my certificate is useless, then I'll do ritual." Toby froze. He had heard stories, people who sought shortcuts and vanished into horror, but desperation has a way of drowning caution. Could a ritual be the answer? A promise of wealth, if only he dared? He stood at the crossroads of desperation and morality, staring into the darkness of the night. One decision would define him. One choice could either save him or destroy him completely. And that choice, he was about to make. Toby's hand trembled as he stepped into the dimly lit room of the herbalist. The air smelled of burnt leaves and something metallic, almost like blood. The walls were lined with jars of powders, roots, and liquids that seemed alive in the flickering candlelight. At the center, the herbalist sat cross-legged, his eyes black and endless. "You want wealth," the man said, voice low and cold. "I can give it. But know this, every gift has a price. 10 years and no more." Toby's stomach dropped. 10 years. The herbalist nodded. 10 years from the day you receive the money. Then, you die. Toby swallowed hard. Hunger, shame, frustration, all of it pressed down on him like a tidal wave. 10 years? That was a long time. He could be rich, live like those Instagram stars, leave poverty behind. 10 years wasn't forever. Desperation drowned fear. "I'll do it," he whispered. The ritual was quick, horrifyingly simple. A few coins, a drop of blood, words he didn't understand. And then, nothing. At first, he doubted it worked. But a week later, his first online investment skyrocketed. Money flowed like a river. Bank alerts kept him awake at night. Toby bought flashy suits, shoes that gleamed like mirrors, and watches that weighed like gold on his wrist. He didn't just feel rich, he looked rich. Clubs, restaurants, parties, he lived as if the world owed him everything. And, for a while, it did. But pleasure has a way of hiding danger. Friends who once ignored him now smiled too widely, whispered too closely. Johnny, his old friend, grew distant, watching, calculating. Rumors began to swirl. Toby laughed them off. He had money, power, influence. Who could touch him? Then came the night that changed everything. He had just left a club, the city's neon lights painting the wet streets, when sirens tore the night apart. EFCC vans blocked the road. Men in dark suits moved fast. His heart sank. "Toby Nwosu," one officer barked. "You are under arrest." The flash of cameras, the whispers of onlookers, the judgmental stares, it all hit him at once. He tried to explain, tried to fight, tried to disappear into the shadows of his newfound empire, but there was nowhere to run. He spent months in court, the trial a spectacle. Friends vanished. Family visited once, then stopped. The media turned his face into a warning, a story of greed and betrayal. His fortune evaporated. His flashy life was gone in an instant. 10 years in prison. The herbalist's warning echoed in his mind like a curse. Prison was colder than he imagined. Not the walls or the iron bars, those he expected. It was the emptiness, the silence, the endless nights with only regret for company. He replayed every choice. Every smile he faked, every shortcut he took, every whisper of "this will make you rich." Each one now felt like a noose tightening around his chest. One night, an inmate whispered, "They say some people sell their souls. Others just borrow time." Toby shivered. Borrow time. That's exactly what the herbalist had said. 10 years. And now he had 10 years of nothing but punishment to count down. He began to realize the cost. His friends, those who praised him, abandoned him. His family's pride had turned into embarrassment. The world he wanted, the life he dreamed of, it wasn't waiting for him anymore. It had moved on. And he had traded everything for a fleeting illusion. Yet, even in the darkness, temptation returned. He heard rumors of shortcuts inside prison, deals that promised faster release, influence over guards, access to money. For a moment, hope flared. Then reason struck. Every shortcut he took outside had led him here. Why trust them now? Days turned to months. Months to years. The young man who once dreamed of wealth and glory had grown hollow. His eyes, once bright with ambition, now carried the weight of despair. He prayed silently, not for freedom, not for wealth, but for a chance to undo everything. And then, the day came. 10 years. Toby stepped out of prison gates into a world that had changed beyond recognition. His family had moved, friends had forgotten, and the money he had tasted vanished. His flashy suits were moth-eaten memories, his Instagram dreams buried under reality. The city's neon lights mocked him. That night, back in the tiny room he rented with the little money he had saved, the air turned cold. A shadow formed in the corner. The herbalist, or something darker, stood there. "Your 10 years are up," a voice whispered. Toby's knees buckled. Please. I'll do anything. I'll give everything back. Just don't take me. But the room was silent. Cold. Empty. Toby sat on the edge of his bed, trembling. The shadow in the corner of the room didn't move. It just watched, cold and patient. 10 years had passed since he chose greed over patience. 10 years of hunger, humiliation, and regret. 10 years, borrowed from life itself. Your time is up, the voice whispered again. It was the herbalist, or perhaps something darker, something older than life. Toby's heart raced. No, please. I'll do anything, he begged, tears streaming down his face. But desperation could not undo a debt written in blood and ambition. That night, he could feel it, the invisible weight pressing on his chest, his breath caught in his throat. The room grew colder, shadows stretching across the walls like claws. Memories of every decision flashed before him, the sleepless nights of hunger, the flashy parties, the betrayals, the arrests, the empty prison cell. Every choice, every shortcut, every moment of greed had led him here. Suddenly, a sharp pain struck his chest. He fell forward onto the bed, clutching his heart, gasping. His eyes met the corner where the shadow had been, but it was gone. A cold wind swept through the room, and the last 10 years of his life felt like a lifetime compressed into a single heartbeat. Neighbors whispered the next morning. From first class to Yahoo boy, see where greed carried him. Some said he died peacefully, others claimed it was mysterious. But those who knew the truth understood. Toby had traded life itself for fleeting wealth. His family mourned quietly, ashamed, but also relieved that the nightmare had ended. Friends who once envied him could only shake their heads in disbelief. The life he wanted, the life he chased with hunger and impatience, had vanished. And with it, Toby himself. In the empty room, his certificates still hung on the wall. Proof of brilliance, promise, and potential. But they were meaningless now. The pursuit of wealth had stolen more than money. It had stolen time, relationships, respect, and, ultimately, life itself. And the moral was clear. Impatience and greed carry a cost that cannot be escaped. Toby's story was not just a warning. It was a lesson carved into the lives of everyone who witnessed it. The love of money is the root of evil. Patience could have saved him. Moral courage could have saved him. But the desire to take a shortcut, to grab life before its time, destroyed him utterly. In the end, Toby's fate became a story whispered across the city, a cautionary tale of ambition turned to arrogance, dreams turned to desperation, and wealth turned to ashes. Remember his story. From first class to a grave. From hope to regret. The choices we make define not just our wealth, but our very lives. For any folktales,